oil and gas techniques, almost a lot of the technology that we use in the water well business originated in oil and gas. For example, we oftentimes will evaluate, we'll do flow profiles in a water well with spinner logging. Well, that was originated in the oil and gas. I believe that well videos might have been as well. A lot of the geophysical logs originated there, so on and so forth. So we use a lot that's borrowed from oil and gas already. And we should not be shy about doing that when appropriate further, but there are times when it's not appropriate. So think about the fundamental difference between the oil and gas environment and the water environment. Oil and gas, we want oil or gas that's different than water, different viscosity, different density, and so on. We don't care about polluting the borehole, at least as much, and we really care about it in water. In oil and gas, they want barrels per day. A barrel's 42 gallons. That's not a lot. We want thousands of gallons per minute, so we want a whole lot more liquid to come out than they care about, and we're for a different reason. And we really care about the quality of it because we're going to drink it. We're not going to drink the oil and gas. And so if there's some oil and gas that comes out and needs extra refining, that's just an economic issue. For water, it's a health issue. And so that's a different standard that we're having to meet. So with all that in mind, we look at oil and gas, the chemicals they use. Some of them we would never, ever, consider. Like when I was a mud engineer in the oil and gas business back in an earlier time in my life, we would add diesel to the drilling fluid in some cases because we were circulating in an oil and gas well. We would never do that in a water well, obviously. So that's an extreme example, but there's many of them like that. The formation pressures can be extreme in an oil and gas well. Rarely do we need to weight up the drilling fluid, although we do sometimes in water wells. But we would not need typically a blowout preventer, which is a stack of plumbing that prevents formations to shoot out of the fluids from the formation to shoot out of the hole. But that sort of thing is differences. But the similarities are so many of those. Like if we're going to do pressure grouting and put our cement in place by pumping it down the center of our casing and then up the annulus, that's would be through a float shoe, and a float shoe is a drillable check valve. That's an oil field device that we use all the time, and so this is not that uncommon that we'll do a pressure grouting job with a float shoe. Maybe we want to install a liner but let it hang in tension. We can do that with a thing called a liner hanger that is like slips that can grab the drill pipe, but the tungsten carbide teeth are facing outward instead of inward, so they can bite against the casing. And so things like that come from the oil fields, we can buy them pre-manufactured from suppliers for specialty needs. We can go to oil and gas, take advantage of that. And one of the items that is just not emerging enough, in my opinion, I honestly intend to look into this and see if I can use it in my work a little more often, is coiled tubing. Now, I noticed that in the Water Well Journal for December, there was a reference to a guy in Louisiana who was using it for geothermal wells. And that's a neat application, but for well rehabilitation, we oftentimes would like to have a small, maybe inch diameter or so tubing string that could go down a sounding tube or a gravel feed tube or into the annulus of a well or something like that into a small space and do jetting or reverse circulation or some sort of device. And there's all these tips you can put on coiled tubing, which, by the way, in case folks don't know what that is, it is a seamless tube, no threaded connections, but it's on a huge spool, about 10-foot diameter, and it's hard steel, but it just unfurls and goes down as far as you want. It doesn't rotate, but it can jet, it can operate like a bit. You can circulate any chemicals through it. It's a very versatile tool, and it's not new. It's been used for years in oil and gas and is beginning to show up a little bit more these days in water wells. So I think that's something that is a underused technology that I think we'll see probably some more of in the future years.